This is Philip H. Anselmo, and I am exploding on Capital Chaos TV.
Up the widow woman, wondering what she's gonna have. Will it be a human being? Will it be a two-head calf? Will it be a baked potato or a dragon breathing ice?
So how did you first get into music, and did you ever like pop, funk, or soul music?
Absolutely, all of the above. And how did I get into music? I was born and raised into a household of it. I had very, very young parents, and I guess in the late 60s, mid to late 60s, living in the French Quarter, music was tremendous. So the plethora of influences was thick, if you will.
Do you recall any funk artists that you may have dug right off the bat, like maybe the Gap Band or Rick James or?
That's an interesting question. Bands like the Gap Band and Rick James. I mean, as far as their radio hits, you gotta love Rick James. What is it? Super Freak. I mean, you gotta love it. It's a killer riff. I mean, it's lovable. So, but gosh, this is interesting. I like this interview. Growing up, one of the big hits on the radio in New Orleans was Right Place, Right, Wrong Time, Dr. John. So we had this different feel. I mean, I don't know if Dr. John could be lumped in with traditional folk, traditional funk players, but it's like it's still for, I guess, that New Orleans funky feel. I mean, we always had the Meters play, and I've seen the Meters jam a few times throughout my life, and they always throw down. And so the funky Meters and Dr. John, I mean, what more can be said? But more. I love them. So, I mean, once again, though, they're artists with quite a catalog. So if you pointed to one direct record or anything like that, it's like a lot of bands. You know, you like certain songs that you're aware of, and then there's, like, case in point, another cat would be David Essex. His biggest hit would be Rock On.
Right.
Back in the day, very war sound. They say his sound reminds me of War. It's like if War was the backing band, it almost sounds like it. But he had another song off that record called Street Fight, which was fucking badass, man. So kick-ass. So, there you go. I mean, we could go any direction you want from here.
Absolutely. Did you sing in church? Did you go to church and sing, or did you go to church?
No, I was not a church-going person, and I was not forced into that
a world
lifestyle of my upbringing or anything like that. However, I will say that my mother's sister, my aunt, was a theater person, and I also a lover of all of the musicals and show tunes, if you will.
Wow.
All that type of shit, everything from The Sound of Music to Wizard of Oz and et cetera, and Judy Garland and all that stuff. So I was raised in a house of the arts in general, just a love of Diana Ross and the Supremes. The stylistics, one of the greats. stuff like that. But getting more directly to your question, what was the question again?
Well, the last question, did you sing in church? But you didn't. You weren't.
Oh,
forced.
right. So, yes. So anyway, I was taught voice by my mother, and then later in school, wow, was that a wild beast in the background?
Yeah, it's my doggy.
I love it. I love beasts. But in school, I sang baritone in the choir in like 8th and 9th grade, and that was about it. However, my teacher did take a specific interest in me for two different reasons. One, I was a cut-up asshole who couldn't behave, and two, he felt I was, I guess, the lockdown guy at baritone. So he felt I was the strongest one. Therefore, he rode my ass even harder because it was like, quit cutting up, you motherfucker, because I need you, man, was pretty much his message to me. So, yeah, I have done some of that, absolutely.
Very cool. I think, I'll be 51 tomorrow. We're probably around the same age. And,
pretty close.
I don't...
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think, I don't know what the school curriculum is right now as far as music in schools. I think it might be a little more diminished, a little more...
Agreed. Curriculum in general is kind of confusing.
So you have a new Superjoint album, or a recent Superjoint album, and you have an EP with Bill Moseley, all written within about 6 months. Is that right?
Well, the Superjoint record, like in all reality, is probably 2 years old now. And Bill Moseley, that record, it's got to be over a year old as far as what's up to date with what I've been doing. So I guess for the general public, it is what it is. But for me, we're kind of talking old hat, but it doesn't matter. And I realize this is the two records that are on the block, and that's all we can dissect. So let's dissect, if you will.
Is there a new fire burning inside Phil Anselmo?
I don't think there's ever been a fire. When it comes to music, there's always that little flame, whether I'm making music just for myself or, whether it's something that I know that the public is going to consume. So I'm always writing music, man. I write all kinds of fucking music, so, it's very common around here.
So it's a constant...
So, yes, there's always, to answer your question, the flame never went out. There's always a fire.
And we wrote a glowing review of the recent Superjoint album, and I quote Gene Genoa, who was our reviewer, "The guitars have enough twang on them you can practically smell the swamps of Louisiana."
Sounds like a review.
Totally. A bunch of adjectives, right?
Correct, yeah, as usual.
So, do you have any favorite songs on the new Superjoint?
Not really. It is what it is. I think it served its purpose, and, Superjoint's interesting. It's like we know, all of us, very aware that with Superjoint, there has to be fair amounts of hardcore and definitely this sprinkling of heavy metal, and then there has to be that New Orleans vibe of groove that is essential really, to the band. So, it's like we all come in with our own ideas. And I will say that having Steve Taylor on the bass, really, he's an excellent guitar player, a very creative guitar player. Having a guy like that in the band is, I guess, refreshing, to a degree as far as ideas go and bouncing off ideas, because he's about our age as well, and he's so low-key about the bands that he's played in, but he's played in some very, very unique bands. Like, he was on the first Woven Hand album, and he was played in 13 horsepower, or whatever it is, 16 horsepower, or whatever. I'm not that familiar, but I do know that they're not hardcore nor heavy metal. So anyway, having a guy like that to bounce stuff off of is always very interesting. But at the end of the day, we're all, I guess, focused on what Superjoint is supposed to sound like. And as far as influences go, it's like always that Gotta Be Black Flag meets just a bit of Agnostic Front meets fucking Saint Vitus or something like that, and it never turns out it's quite like that. But shit, man, I guess that's the beauty of having all these influences. It's like fucking take them, ball them up, put them in a blender, and see what comes out.
What can you tell me about Witter Woman?
Not much, man. That's some wild ass shit Bill Moseley came up with lyrically. I thought it was ridiculous, so I created a ridiculous soundscape for it, and on with the absurdity. And here, we need some more absurdity in a positive way.
Are you familiar with the Northern California organization Eclampus Vitus?
No, I am not.
Oh, okay.
What is it?
It's a fraternal brotherhood that goes back to the Gold Rush days, and
wow.
And a California Preservation Society that was set up in part to help take care of the widows and orphans of the miners that lost their lives in the mines. And the widows are referred to as witters. And one of our...
Hey, look, all that's on Bill Moseley, and he's a California guy. And as far as, I guess, I can't say how long he's been living there, but he's been living there long enough to where if he has a view on things or whatever, but I trust me, I don't think Bill is writing from anything but his own experiences, if that made any sense. Jesus Christ, gosh, the destruction of the English language with Philip Anselmo. Sorry about that.
No worries. And you're not entirely just an English guy. You're from Louisiana, and you speak pretty good English.
Well, thank you.
It's not that hard.
Now, no, it isn't that. It really, really is not that hard. And the English language, but I like innovation within the language. I like messing around with words, creating your own little words here and there, especially living in New Orleans, there's so many different dialects and different input, I guess they would call it, what is it, like pidgin language, to a certain degree of when you live in one's own community, and all of us, to me it's like sometimes New Yorkers sound like people from the New Orleans area, and it's kind of strange, because New York is, supposedly have this very unique accent and all, but to me it's like, wow, it sounds so similar. But, you can tell the difference, in dialects. California has its own little thing with their hella this and that and whatever. See, you won't find that here. You don't hear those types of, I guess you don't hear that expression that much.
No, it's still a popular phrase up here. I'm originally from England, and I still enjoy.
I love the English dialect. Like case in point would be like the word quieten. You don't hear that really like in America, so to speak. But quieten, and I adored the English comedy, everything from Benny Hill to Viz Comics. I'm a fan.
How speaking of England, how familiar are? I know you're a big horror fan. You must be pretty familiar with Hammer Films, I would imagine.
You could say that in 20 different languages, and every time you'd come up with correct, sir.
And I would imagine that, are you a sci-fi Doctor Who guy at all?
Oh gosh, to a degree. I can't say I'm some Doctor Who nerd the way I am to a degree with the original Star Trek series, but it depends on, I guess, the sci-fi, so to speak. Like, if you think about British, right off the top of my head, if I think about British sci-fi, like I would think of Children of the Damned, and stuff like that, which is absolutely sci-fi, and so. But really, horror is and can be sci-fi in a lot of different ways, and I think Howard Phillips Lovecraft has proven that. And and this is just my opinion, and really no much further than that. But like, I take a film like The Thing, and which I guess was originally a 1950s film, but John Carpenter's version in general, I don't think that there would be that vision for The Thing without H.P. Lovecraft. And, H.P. Lovecraft in general, with the cosmic horror that, was his favorite and best at what he did, it's like, it's the fear of the unknown, and I guess that in itself is somewhat sci-fi.
Are you? I know you frequent obviously the horror circuits, the horror conventions. Have you? Have you been to any anime conventions?
No. Not a tremendous fan, but I know it's huge.
And, but you've been to the Star Trek conventions, I imagine.
No, I've never been to one. I've never felt the need or anything like that. I like the show. I really do.
Have you seen the Serbian film?
Oh. You know what? Honestly, I've avoided it.
Me too.
I've avoided it, to tell you the truth. And you know why? I don't, from what I read about it and whatnot, put it this way, I love horror movies and shit like that, and I respect, oh God, here we go. Okay, take a movie like I Spit on Your Grave or Last House on the Left. I respect the cinematic value of them, but rape movies do absolutely nothing for me at all. If anything, it makes me feel it's a turn off. It's like if I see it, okay, it's watched. On to give me haunted houses and give me fucking
Ghosts,
vampires, lycanthropy, anything like that. Anything over rape, please. It doesn't sit well with me.
I agree completely. And I'm Serbian as well. Not that being Serbian would draw me to go see a movie like the Serbian film, but yeah, rape and all that stuff. It's just, I don't know.
It's horror, but it's, I guess, too. It's revolting, and I don't.
I would say it's more porn than horror.
If that's the case, then I'll stick to
Dracula,
regular porn where everybody's consenting. I'm not really into the whole. I don't like rape, man. It's uncool.
I feel you, man. Do you read reviews? Do you read reviews of movies, CDs?
I have definitely I have.
Are there any reviewers or sites where the opinions or tastes are similar to yours, and you could rely on somebody's opinion to maybe purchase something that would be more in tune with your liking?
For me, I think because of the type of cinema that I like, something weird video, Hannon Lauder's thing that he started back in the day, where the movies are B movies to Z movies, and they're all over the place, and mostly very strange and or tough to come by. Your average, like, put it this way, if I find a horror site, it's been a while since I've looked really into it, but if I find a horror site, and say I find one writer that seems pretty consistent with my taste and what I think is great, what I think is not so great. The next thing you know, I'll read, or put it this way, I'll end up vehemently disagreeing with them and just turn my attention elsewhere, and it's movies are strange, and I liken them to music and food and anything like that. It's personal preference, personal taste, and like I've said in the past, like food, you either love it, loathe it, or are pretty indifferent to it, or it's okay, it's fair, So it's, once again, it's personal preference.
Does it bother you to hear artists express their opinions on subjects outside of music, such as politics? And do you like their art any less if you disagree with them?
That's an interesting question, because obviously we just had this crazy election cycle pass, and yes, it's fucking crazy. Honestly,
there are some people think that a musician should only have an opinion to do with music, and if they
well, that's bullshit. As a human being, I don't think a damn person on the planet ought to be thought policed. That's ridiculous. And if you have an opinion on something, that's all it is, and that's an opinion. So it doesn't bug me all that much, It's when, I guess, it seems like, I guess if a person has a large following, or, they know that I guess it's starts and ends there. You know, if you have a large following and then you are speaking politically, and you are an actress, actor, or musician, whatever, and you're trying to sway your audience, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's really up to the individual. You know, I'm all about individuality. That's what makes the world go around, is individuality and all the wonderful things within individuality. I don't like boxes and check marks and groups and all that shit. You know, it's like stand your own ground with your own ideas and your own belief system or whatever, man. You know, it's like religion, you know, it's like believe what you want, but don't try and convert me, you know.
Good luck with that one. What are the positive aspects of social media for you? Clearly there are many negatives. What are the positive aspects for you?
BoxingRec.com, where you can get results from all around the world. Roto World for football, the NFL. And YouTube for boxing and funny shit here and there to a degree. And that's really all. I don't go to music sites unless someone shoots me a link for some reason or another. I never do. It's boring. Like we talked about, like horror movie sites. It's like I don't frequent that many horror movie sites because I've got so many goddamn friends in the biz already. It's like it's something that's going to come out that's worthwhile or whatnot. Either I'm going to stumble across it or I'm going to hear about it anyway. And I'll give it its day in court as far as the movie goes. So, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, that's about it, man.
Is there anything Pantera left to release? Has it all come out already?
That's interesting. Because I did find a track that I cannot make heads or tails of. And I know it's the guys, but I never did do vocals over the top of it. And I'm sure back in the day there was good reason for it. It doesn't really do much. It's like two riffs back and forth, and that's that. So it must have been just a mulling type of idea that, you know, had gone on, and either we put it to bed or just moved on. Because it truthfully, you know, Pantera, there really was not that much lanyap. There really wasn't, you know. We used almost everything that we would come up with, I guess, you know.
And you recently did a successful benefit for Mike Williams and the cost of his liver transplant. And how is your liver holding up?
Well, I guess that's something we'll see in the future, but haven't had a drink since February 14th, 2016, so that can't hurt.
No, it can't. No, it can't. Now, a friend of mine got into a car accident maybe 10 years ago, and she suffers from severe back pain, and she went as far as having a morphine pump installed into her back. Which,
Jesus Christ. What, do you know what kind of injury it was?
oh, I don't know the specific injury, but
Is it lower or upper back? Or?
I think it's lower back, but I can't be sure. But,
yeah, well, lower back is rough, man, but gosh, upper back can take the wind right out of you as well. So I would not combat or challenge the I wouldn't want to have either, and I can speak about lower back and just realize, it's the center of your body, so it's like a very delicate thing and a very long road back if it's like a big problem. And because honestly, whenever I hear about like an athlete or something going through, and I'm using gigantic quotation marks here, minor back surgery, I always think to myself, there's really nothing minor about back surgery.
Right.
So go on, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, she had to have it removed because she couldn't function, couldn't drive, couldn't work, couldn't do anything because obviously it's morphine, and she eventually got it removed. And while she still suffers from the back injury and the back pain, she now relies on marijuana exclusively for her back pain. And I read somewhere where you've had successful surgeries or a successful surgery to relieve that pain. Is that correct?
To a degree, yes. But I will say that my surgery was very, very complicated. I had an excellent surgeon. They did non-evasive surgery where there's not these huge scars or anything like that. They made 5 incisions and went in with cameras, and they basically built a titanium cage around my lower 3 discs next to the tailbone and whatnot. So I know the L5, L whatever, But, when they do that, they have to cut through muscle. They have to cut through you. And that road back is tough, but that can be remedied with hard work. And, but the thing that I guess nags me now, and I'll give you a quick blow-by-blow, is really about 4 months after surgery when the nerves started reconnecting. I started noticing like an electric burn down the left side of my leg that really, really caught like under the kneecap and on the top of the foot, and it was very uncomfortable, and that's the damn sciatica, like going bananas. And really the way it was explained to me is, when nerves, which I guess the medical world really just does not know too terribly much about them, aside from they're there and what they can do cognitively and stuff like that. But either way, that right there, I think that in a nutshell, the sciatica pain is something that I suffer from on a daily basis until my eyes close and I sleep at night. But, stretching the sucker out uniquely, meaning if you stretch it one way, it could aggravate it, but if you stretch it in a different direction, almost like karate kick style, like if you're on the floor and you stretch it that way, for me that does help a bit for sure. And getting the blood moving and all that shit always helps a bit, but still, it's something that I'm going to have to tackle again and revisit in the future. But until then, I'll deal with it.
Would you be loyal to the Saints if they moved to Las Vegas like the Oakland Raiders?
Oh, God. I mean, would it be the New Orleans Saints anymore? I don't know, man. I mean, I guess there would be a sliver of me left that had some loyalty, but gosh, I can't. That's so tough, man. That's so damn tough. I don't know. I don't know, man. That's a tough question. And the fairest answer I can give is I don't know. And honestly, I feel bad for, like, San Diego. Because to me, just out of mere NFL tradition, you know, it's always been the San Diego Chargers. And, oh, man, the L.A. Chargers, it just feels a little strange.
That's like a horror movie to itself.
Write up a script, Maestro. I'll look it over.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Do you have any final thoughts that you care to share to anybody that might be reading this or listening to this?
I think that this is one of the most pleasurable, different, wonderful interviews that I've done in a very long time, and I just want to give you, sir, big props for a fantastic interview, and I think big thumbs up here on my end to you and all of your readers and all of your the people that follow your site and your podcasts and all of that. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.